Hey y'all, how's it going? Welcome back to Travel Light Adventures. Whenever you're camping out there in the summertime like it is now, you gotta have a good way to cool stuff down. The way I do it is I use my Alpicool C20 refrigerator right here, stickers sold separately. I've had this unit for over a year now. I purchased it in March of 2024, and I figured that's a good enough time for me to tell y'all what I like and what I don't like about it. So this here is going to be a gear review on my refrigerator right here. That way you can see if this is something that you might want to purchase to cool your campsite down. Let's go ahead and get into it. This unit is a single compartment refrigerator that I purchased on Amazon in March of 2024 for $140. Normally it's priced around $180, but I was lucky and got it on sale. The exterior dimensions of this unit are 23.5 inches long ways, 12.5 inches tall, and 12.5 inches wide. It weighs about 19.5 pounds, and it can operate on a slope of up to 45 degrees, though I've never been brave enough to try that. This unit has full temperature control that allows it to be set as high as 45 degrees and as low as -2. It takes about half an hour for it to cool down from 70 degrees to 32 degrees. There are also two modes to set this unit in for temperature and power consumption called Eco and Max mode, but more on those in a moment. Alright, now I'm going to talk a little bit more about this unit and the ways to power it. So this unit is a fully electric unit and it is not battery operated, so you do have to plug it in. Now there are two ways to plug it in. First one, like you saw right here, is plug it into the wall with your little converter right here and your plug that goes into the fridge. I rarely ever use this thing because I usually am using this when I'm camping, which means I'm running it off with a 12-volt adapter, which it is designed for. But it does come with this plug as well, so you can use it, though I commonly like to use the 12-volt adapter. Now that I've talked about the ways to power this unit, I'm going to talk about power consumption. This is a relatively low, easy-on electricity unit. I usually run this in eco mode 100% of the time and don't have any issues. On startup, just like any other appliance, it's going to pull a lot of electricity, but then that wattage will trickle down. When I have this buddy in eco mode, whenever it's on startup, which is anytime the compressor kicks on, it pulls about 50 watts for the first 10 to 15 seconds, and then it drops down to its normal running wattage of anywhere between 20 and 40. Now, depending on the outside temperature, that wattage may be a lot lower because the compressor's not having to work as hard. But if it's hot outside, it's going to have to work a lot harder, which means that wattage is going to be a lot higher. I run this thing exclusively in eco mode. I do not have any issues. You can run it in max mode. Main difference is eco mode is going to let it vary from that temperature that you set it at a lot more. For example, if I have it in eco mode and I'm running in at 32 degrees, that's what I have it set at, it'll probably be about 38 degrees before that compressor kicks on, whereas in max mode, it's about half that. Once it gets to 35, it's turning on. And it's pulling a lot more wattage in max mode because that compressor's working twice as hard. Generally, your running average with wattage in max mode is going to be about twice as high. Sometimes on startup, when I've had it in max mode, it's even pulled as much as 100 watts. Very seldom has it done that. Running wattage is about 60. For those of you that may not understand a whole lot about wattage and electricity, perfectly fine if you don't. I completely understand. It took me a little bit to get it too. To put it into perspective, your smartphone probably charges at or close to 20 watts usually. So think of running this thing as like charging 1.5 of your phone at one time, and on startup, charging about 3 of your phone at the same time if you're running in eco mode. That is, if you're running in max mode, just double those numbers. As you saw, I'm able to control this unit from the control panel on there. It does have app control. I can't really speak to a whole lot because I've never really used it, but there is temperature control, and basically you can do the same stuff on the touchpad, on the app. You don't have to cycle through all these buttons right here. This unit also has a USB port, though I don't really use it a whole lot unless it's plugged directly into my car. I find it counterintuitive if I'm running it off a battery. This unit also does have a locking lid. It's not really a locking mechanism, it's just the way it's designed, but it's really nice to have because that way you can open and close it and know it's going to be closed whenever you're driving down the road. And that way, it keeps you from opening it when you're driving on the road. And it's also got this nice little indentation in the hood, and you saw the use of that whenever I put the gallon jug in there. You're able to fit a whole gallon jug in there because of this indentation. If it weren't for this, it wouldn't fit in there. Another feature of this unit is it has handles, kind of like a cooler, which makes it easy to carry. Though I also kind of find those counterintuitive unless you're hauling it to and from your car and it's not plugged in. That's the only reason I could see these are feasible, because all the time you're going to have something plugged into it. I'm going to talk about some pros and cons of owning this unit, some of the stuff that I've noticed that I like and don't like. And because I like to get the hard stuff out of the way first, I'm going to talk about the cons, and then I'll get to the benefits, the good stuff, why I like having this thing right here. So con number one is actually this lid right here. Now, this lid is very durable, but it's also very fragile at the same time. Let me explain. So in the back here, to help this lid go up and down, it doesn't have traditional hinges. It has these grooves that it fits into, if you can see that. And there are little twist dials that it fits onto. Now, over time, those twist dials have gotten worn out, and I've actually had to super glue one of them to get them to stay in place. Now, I know that's kind of nitpicky, and it works just fine. And, maybe if I'm a little bit easier on it versus, opening and closing it like you just saw me do, slamming it closed, they're probably fine. But just keep that in mind whenever you buy these units, because these dials, they do not withstand a whole lot of pressure. So just go easy on them and you'll be fine. Con number two is about the insulation of this unit. Now, this is a little bit nitpicky for me, and I understand the concept of it. This thing's about half the price of a standard Dometic, so it'll probably work about half as good as a Dometic, though I'd say it's not quite half as good. It's even better. But I digress. So the insulation of this unit is not very good, especially up here in the top. For example, there have been times where I have had it plugged into the car, and I forgot to switch it over to the battery when I go into the grocery store. I'll have it set at maybe 35 degrees, and I'll come back out after about 20 minutes, and it's at 60. So the insulation of this unit is not very good. I also don't like the fact with that insulation that I can't use it as a cooler too, because there are some times where I've wanted to, and even if I put ice in there, it just melts. So the insulation is not very good. Like I said, it's nitpicky, but it's just an honest opinion. Now I'm going to talk about some of the things I like about this unit. Now, it's going to be unit specific, because the convenience factor is a factor with any camping fridge, where you can throw something in there and 20 minutes later and it's cold. Or you can freeze stuff whenever you're traveling. Heck, you could even have ice cream if you want to. Sometimes I do. But that's not what this is about. This is unit specific and things that I like about this unit. Now, first off is I really like how low of a power draw this is. There are some times when I can go 4 days without having to charge my battery because this is such low of a power draw. Now, typically it's more like 2 to 3, but sometimes I've been able to get to 4. And it's really nice having to have that usability to where you can control the wattage to say, hey, I just want you to pull this much at this temperature in eco mode, and that's all I want. For the usability of those features alone, I like this unit. Pro number 2 about this unit is it comes with a 2-year warranty. Now, warranties I know is not specific to the unit, but if something has a long warranty, companies are generally relying on that unit to last a while, and it usually does. If you have something that's defective, it's not going to have a very long warranty, because everyone knows that at that company they're just going to have to replace it a lot. So I think having a long warranty says a lot about your reliability and your usability. So the fact that this has that warranty, and it's a full guaranteed warranty, I like that factor about this unit and about the company that I bought it from. Positive number 3 is I really like the indentation on this lid. It allows you to fit a whole lot more stuff in there, and you can put easy to grab stuff there on the top. When I'm driving, sometimes I like to grab a drink of water or something, go right in the top, maybe put a peanut butter and jelly or ham sandwich on there on the top so that I have some lunch easy to grab whenever I stop and have myself a little rest. Easy to grab right there on the top. And because this is not as cold up here, I can keep my really cold stuff here in the bottom and put my stuff that I'm going to grab right away there on the top. Overall, pros and cons aside, I really like owning this refrigerator. It's been good to me. I really enjoy having it. I don't like rooting through icy coolers. That's just not fun for me, so I wanted to get a refrigerator. This is a good value for the price point. My top recommendation for someone that wants to purchase this unit is going to be car campers, SUV campers, or casual. Maybe you have a home base and you don't live in your vehicle, Or maybe you do and you don't have a whole lot of space. That's what you should buy this for. If you're doing, full build outs with gutting a vehicle or van life, I would maybe spring for something that has one, a lot more space, two, a lot more durability. Maybe like a Dometic. I know I've mentioned them a whole lot, but just because they're the gold standard for the most part, I maybe spring for one of those just based on size, usability, and convenience. But if you're doing it more casually, you have a home base, you're taking week, 2 week, maybe even 3 week trips out, and then you're coming back home or wherever your home base is at, or just going one step at a time, kind of like I do, this is a good unit for you to have. And also, I will mention this just because one of my friends has one of these. If you live a good distance from a grocery store, this is a good thing to have, because that way you don't have to worry about a cooler, getting ice for it. You just plug it into the car, drive you out of the grocery store. It's already cold by the time you get there. You throw all your stuff in there, boom, you're good. You don't have to worry about ice or anything like that. It comes in handy there. So if you have the money to spend for that kind of thing and you live that far out from the grocery store, I would definitely recommend that. Anyways, that's going to conclude today's video. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, maybe even subscribe if you want to. I do videos every Monday just about, and I post just about every day here on this channel. So if you like travel content, focusing on doing it on a budget and still having a good time, then this is the place for you. Anyways, thanks for watching. Have a great day.